You ever notice how Luke Skywalker kinda just shows up? Like one day he's whining about power converters, and the next he's blowing up Death Stars and getting ghost calls from Jedi legends like it's no big deal. I mean, imagine being that guy. You wake up on a moisture farm and by dinner you've joined the rebellion with a lightsaber that was literally handed to you by a stranger in a robe who lives in a cave. That's not a hero's journey, that's a glitch in the Force's matchmaking system. And we're all supposed to clap because he did a couple backflips on Dagobah and somehow passed the Jedi exam. Meanwhile, every other Force-sensitive has to grind through trauma, war, exile and betrayal just to survive, but not Luke. No, Luke gets the deluxe package. Prophecy included, batteries not required. And don't even get me started on how the entire galaxy just conveniently rallies around the last name, Skywalker, like it's some kind of cheat code. It's like the universe went, hey kid, you're gonna need some friends. So, here's a smuggler, a Wookiee, a princess, and 2 robots who somehow know everything about your past, present, and future. Also, don't worry, the bad guys, your dad, and the boss fight comes with built-in emotional trauma for that extra spice. This isn't destiny, this is nepotism with a lightsaber. And we ate it up like it was a hero buffet. But let's not pretend he earned all of it. Luke didn't train in the Jedi Temple. He didn't survive Order 66. He didn't crawl out of a wrecked starship on some outer rim battlefield with a broken arm and half a lightsaber. He got the fast pass. Yoda was reluctant for like 5 minutes, and then suddenly, Luke's doing flips and calling himself a Jedi Knight with the confidence of a guy who skipped every class and still aced the test. And yet, we love him. We put him on every poster, every lunchbox, every throne of nostalgic greatness, because he represents something we all wish for. The chosen one treatment. The fantasy that maybe, just maybe, if we whine loud enough on a desert planet, someone will show up with a sword and tell us we're special too. That the universe actually has a plan, and we're the main character in it. In this video, we're going to pull the curtain back on Luke Skywalker's legendary status and ask the question nobody wants to say out loud. What if he wasn't the underdog? What if he was the most privileged Jedi of all time? And what does that say about how we tell stories, choose heroes, and cling to legacies that were built on more than just merit? Have you ever stopped and really looked at Luke Skywalker's journey? I mean, really looked at it. We all know the broad strokes. The farm boy from Tatooine rises up to take down the Empire, but when you zoom in a little, it starts looking less like a rags to riches tale, and more like a preloaded cheat code. Think about it. He's the son of the most powerful Jedi in galactic history. He has Obi-Wan Kenobi living just a sand dune away, and he gets handed his father's lightsaber without doing anything to earn it. While most Jedi start training before they can even walk, Luke didn't pick up a lightsaber until he was old enough to complain about power converters. And yet, he gets fast-tracked like he's some Force-powered VIP. No temple training, no youngling trials, no grueling Clone Wars campaigns. Just, hey kid, you're the last hope. Here's a lightsaber and a ghost mentor. Now go save the galaxy. What makes it even stranger is how no one in universe really questions this. Like, no Jedi ghost ever says, maybe we should, I don't know, test him, or train him a little longer. Yoda is reluctant for like 5 minutes, and then folds like a lawn chair in a hurricane. It's like Luke shows up, and the Force just rearranges the whole curriculum around him. And yes, he does face challenges. He loses a hand, finds out Vader's his dad, and has to learn some hard truths. But those truths come with built-in answers, a ready-made legacy, and a support group of ghost wizards whispering plot armor in his ear. Meanwhile, other Force sensitives are scraping by and hiding, praying they don't get found out. Luke gets a fast pass to destiny with his name on the ticket. So that got me thinking, what if we've been framing Luke's story all wrong this whole time? What if he's not the underdog we think he is? What if he's actually the most privileged Jedi of them all? And we've all just been too busy cheering to notice. Alright, here's where it starts getting a little maddening. The more you break it down, the more Luke's entire journey feels like someone hitting the skip tutorial button and getting handed the best gear anyway. Like, oh, sorry kid, you missed years of Jedi conditioning and battlefield experience. But hey, here's a lightsaber, a pet Wookiee, and the entire Rebel Alliance cheering your name by day 3. It's not just that he gets special treatment, it's that the galaxy twists itself into knots to make sure he wins. Yoda straight up says there is another when talking about Leia, but still trains Luke because reasons. Obi-Wan lies to him about Vader, then ghosts his way into Luke's brain and keeps mentoring him like some kind of afterlife internship. The guy literally gets a free masterclass from beyond the grave, while other Force users are rotting in Imperial prisons. But maybe the most overlooked part of Luke's privilege is what it cost others. For every door that opened for him, another one closed for someone else. Ahsoka walked away from the Order after being falsely accused. Qui-Gon Jinn watched his master die and survived as a fugitive. Cal Kestis hid his identity for years, suffering alone in silence. But Luke got welcomed in with open arms by ghosts, who once trained the very people who let everything fall apart. There's something quietly tragic about how many Jedi were abandoned, forgotten, or hunted down, all while Luke was being protected and groomed as the new hope. It's not his fault necessarily, but it does raise a question about why he was chosen over so many others who fought harder, longer, and with way more scars to show for it. Think about Leia, equally strong in the Force, equally tied to Anakin, equally vital to the rebellion. But she gets sidelined for Luke's journey. No deep training, no arc built around her abilities. Just a maybe later from Yoda and some background leadership duties. Even in a galaxy far, far away, privilege picks its favorites. And for all of Luke's pain and trauma and, yes, he absolutely suffers its pain with a purpose. With support, with guidance, with a galaxy rallying behind him. Others suffered in silence, in exile, or in chains. Their pain didn't come with prophecy or applause, it just hurt. So when we talk about Luke's heroism, maybe we also need to talk about who didn't get a story, whose journeys were sacrificed or forgotten so that his could shine the brightest. But look, just because Luke had privilege doesn't mean his story wasn't powerful. In fact, that's what makes it even more fascinating. The way his legacy was built on so many layers of myth, prophecy, and old Jedi superstition. He wasn't just a Jedi, he was the Jedi, the one meant to bring balance, restore peace, and embody all the legends that came before him. That's no small weight to carry. The guy went from herding droids to confronting the most terrifying man in the galaxy, who also happened to be his dad. And he didn't just fight Vader, he tried to save him. That moment alone, the Death Star, refusing to strike, earned him his place in Jedi history. And yeah, he had help. But every great hero does. Frodo had Sam, Neo had Morpheus, Harry had Dumbledore. What sets Luke apart is how he took all that inherited expectation and actually did something with it. He didn't just coast. He grew, stumbled, learned, and came out stronger. And maybe that's the point. Maybe Luke's story isn't about being perfect or earning every step the hard way. Maybe it's about what you do when life hands you the sword, when you get the spotlight, the power, the destiny, what choices you make with the advantages you're given. Luke could have turned bitter. He could have followed in Vader's footsteps, clinging to power, lashing out at betrayal. But he didn't. He chose to resist anger, to trust compassion, to let go of violence, even when it would have been easier to strike. That's not just rare, it's inspiring. For all the privilege he had, he didn't hoard it. He tried to rebuild the Jedi Order, pass on what he knew, create something bigger than himself. He failed, yes, but he tried. And sometimes, trying in the face of overwhelming legacy is the bravest thing anyone can do. And look, privilege in storytelling isn't always a bad thing. It's what you do with it that matters. Luke represents the best-case scenario, a guy with power who chooses peace, a legend who stays human, a Skywalker who breaks the cycle. So maybe we stop pretending he was the underdog and start appreciating what he actually was. A hopeful symbol of how to use privilege for something good. But here's the thing no one wants to admit. Luke's privilege didn't just shape his success, it also sets him up for failure. He was raised on myths, handed a prophecy, surrounded by legends who expected greatness. How could he ever live up to that weight? How could anyone? He tried to rebuild the Jedi, but carried all their mistakes without understanding why they fell. He taught with the pressure of being the last hope, and when things fell apart with Ben Solo, he did what so many Jedi before him did, he ran. He blamed himself, and he disappeared. It's not just a fall from grace. It's a collapse under expectations he never asked for, but was never allowed to escape. And when he finally returns in The Last Jedi, it's not as the all-powerful warrior. It's as a broken man doing one last act of heroism with no lightsaber, no army, just a projection and a memory. Luke's story was always destined to end in tragedy, because privilege without guidance leads to pressure without clarity. And when a hero is built on prophecy instead of preparation, failure isn't just possibly, it's inevitable. So maybe Luke Skywalker wasn't the chosen one. Maybe he was just the lucky one, and maybe that's what makes his story so human, not because he overcame everything, but because he didn't. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy my videos, please consider looking at my pinned comment and checking out the links for my Amazon storefront. It contains my favorite Legos, my gear in which I make videos, and comics that I read on a daily basis. I update it constantly, so please, take a moment and click on the link. On top of that, check out my second channel, Critical Analysis Hub Plus, and my third channel, Critical Analysis Hub XP. Just one click would go on a long way in supporting my channels and future in YouTube.